put this question in context, I can look back at the beginning of my career, which is in the late 1960s, early 1970s. At that time, we still had large state institutions for virtually everyone who had a developmental problem. You know, back in that time, if you had a Down syndrome child, a brain injured child with virtually any kind of a developmental issue, generally the recommendation was to institutionalize the child. And sadly, that was done with tens and tens of thousands of kids. And back in early in my career, I went to visit institutions. And essentially, everyone in those institutions was, by today's definition, autistic. They weren't autistic when they entered, but after a relatively short period of time, they became autistic. They became autistic because they went there because they had some kind of a developmental issue. They became autistic because they were deprived of much input. And what they were left with was stimulating themselves through their senses, sensory stim. Same kind of sensory stim babies do because they don't have anything else they can do. Now, until a child is neurodevelopmentally to the point where they can kind of process three pieces, which is most kids about three years of age or so. Until that point, they really can't play independently, appropriately very well. And up to that point, they tend to do a lot of sensory things, and that's everything from rocking to they suck their thumb, to they're playing with this and they're smelling that and they're scratching this. That's all normal for little kids. But if the child is delayed in their development, they get too good at it, they do more of it, and they kind of reach a point where they start becoming really addicted to it. And then we have a downward spiral, and they become more and more, if you will, autistic-like. So any child with a developmental problem has the potential. And if you watch kids with developmental problems, you almost always see little bits and pieces of autistic type behaviors. Okay. So the potential is there. And with any child with a developmental problem, we need to be aware of those issues. Not so that we can label the child as being autistic, but so we can redirect them, give them better stimulation, give them more input, and move their development along faster to get them past this stage where they tend to get into trouble.